Hey everyone, my name is Chloe Rutherford, and I did my missionary biography on Ann Judson. I read The Extraordinary Story of Ann Hazelton Judson, A Life Beyond Boundaries by Rosalie Hunt. You can read this soon whenever I return it to the library. It definitely was worth reading and very encouraging. It was cool to learn more about her and her husband, Adoniram Judson, as I'm sure a lot of us have heard. But just to read her story was so inspiring. As we've also been reading Dr. Hildreth's book, her and her husband were one of the first missionaries sent out by America and by Baptist. But as we learned, they actually became Baptists on the over 100-day journey overseas by ship to India. And so they, just believed that, this word baptism means full immersion. And so they kind of both came to that conclusion and were Baptist after that. But yeah, Anne is known as being just a pioneer missionary. They first were going to India and they were trying to decide where to go, and they kept just feeling like Burma was where they wanted to be. They, left as missionaries 2 weeks after they got married, and they just knew that they wanted to die overseas and wanted to be in service of the Lord and furthering His kingdom. And so just an abandonment of their own life is just awesome. One of her life scriptures is Romans 12:1, just offering our bodies as a living sacrifice. And for her, that really got her through the hardships of her life and being a missionary. So like I said, a lot of her friends, both of their friends, discouraged them from going to Burma because it was just a dangerous place and it's not where people really were sent. And so, but that just gave them all the more reason to want to go there. They knew that there was not a Christian presence there, and they said, this is what the Lord has placed on our heart, and so they went. And so it was just cool to see through, sufferings of sickness and death. A lot of her children, actually all of them, ended up dying. And so just through all of that sorrow and suffering, being away from family, they looked to the Lord. And I think that gave them perseverance to keep on being a witness even when they didn't know that language. And so they are very smart people, so they translated the scriptures to Burmese. And so I think it was the New Testament and eventually all of the Bible, but and to this day, I guess it's 200 years later, they still use what Adoniram made to translate the scriptures. And so it was cool to see Anne she picked up the language really fast and made friends with government leaders, which came in handy later whenever her husband was in prison. She witnessed to her household workers, and they eventually were on the streets of Burma preaching the gospel. And that was after, years of learning the language, of contextualizing the gospel, and the way that they presented it. And so people started to think, okay, we can trust these people and believe them. And so it really was Anne and Adoniram's faithfulness to the Lord. Like I said, even in the prison, when she was faithful to keep her husband alive, even when she was sick, because they knew that he must be alive for the gospel to continue going forth. And it did. They stayed there for years after she eventually passed away. Not too long after he got out of prison, and they were about to start a new school in Burma. And so there wasn't too long after that, but just to see the faithfulness of these people to continue coming back and working for the Lord was really inspiring, and I hope that you read this book and were inspired by your own missionary biographies. Thanks.